I like to think Osen was taken by the ghost of Oki. Oki, it was Shin that called your glaive shitty. It's always good to relax and take a breather. Kingdom is no stranger to that. The best part is that it dives onto the surface of new and foreseeable futures developments, which is why this series always keeps me engaging with these characters. So I am gracious when a moment like this occurs. I always like these moments because it brings you good feel moments with these characters, though admittedly it tends to scare you with some death flags being raised without notice. In here, I think it's safe to say that we can just relax and enjoy the sensation. The chapter mostly focuses on the rookies and their thoughts of their first engaged battle, so I didn't mind at all. In fact, it helps me to grow attached to these newcomers. It is helped by the veterans of the series, since we're already close with them. It's easier to connect with others. Shosa, who I always like for his laid-back personality. Sugin, who is just a badass. Lastly, Behead for his buck teeth. This chapter is pure definition of relaxation. The thing I like about this chapter is how each of them has their own ways to get the rookie spirits up. Shosa got the laid-back aspect covered with the offering of booze. To them, rookies are going to feel crap after their first day for getting badly injured or let other dies. Thankfully, Shosa is so chill that he knows how to persuade them to think otherwise. I don't recall if I ever see him react differently. He's always chilling. Sugin got the encouragement aspect covered, which is funny because it's not that he is the one to say anything about it, rather it was Shosa. Sugin is always like a badass in the group, but it turns out he too had a rough past. He actually was pretty bad in the past and got bullied. I laughed so much at Behead was beginning to poke fun at Sugin, only for him to cower out when Sugin reflected that he beat the crap out of the bullies. Ah yes, how PC. That said, it's a nice way to say that even someone who started off crap will eventually grow to a much better fighter, or in this case a badass. That and well, don't bully before you guess what's coming. My favorite part is Behead recollecting the story of Shin's first campaign. I can't believe it's been so long and the series isn't close to ending yet. I know the nostalgia effect can be really strong, so this was no exception. Thankfully for this series to remain consistent, it's not like it's changed drastically that betrayed its nature. Could you imagine Shin starts flying and shoot beam from his sword today? Joking aside, it's a good heartfelt recap of how far Shin has gotten. It's such an encouraging moment. Anyone can be your next general. The move can really suck you in to their feel and have fun. I like this calm, tender scenery. The main highlight for me has to go to the brothers. That's right, those guys. They're so awesome as one. Each of them act like a badass. They even sparkle when they thought their name got called up. The Ton brothers are definitely the highlight of this arc. Wait, the Archers brothers continue to take the spotlight in this arc so far. It's given that they're getting a special treatment from Hara, so I'm in for more developments. To be exact, it's actually Jin that receives the proper development that leaves a good feeling in the end. Karo 10 and Jin have a sit down discussing over his uncontrollable shaking arm. It's interesting to note that he's the older brother, which means he always has to put up a tough act. I thought that was too far of him to smack Tan after the battle was over. I know Tan has to grow up, I understand, I get it, but if Jin is all he has left, it's best to not to break him down, but support him. It's clear that Tan is more sensitive than Jin with his continuous sobbing. Jin, however, didn't exactly get the hang of it as well, no pun intended. He is still shaking and actually took it hard that he has killed people. In the end, no matter what they did or not, they're still rookies, and that makes this moment more sincere. I know people have to act tough to get around these days, but this series knows the limit. Ten can relate and thought that's a sign of a kind person, which fits the resume to enter Haishin unit. Each rookie or a group gets their lessons in this chapter, whether they can relate to some, if not all attributes. Jin is about growing up, where he has to start becoming accustomed to the battlefield. This cleverly ties in with how Ten is feeling about the war since the arc started. It also shows how mature she has become. Jin might be shaken from this moment on, but that's fine. He can still be awesome while shaking with fear or whatever. No one has to be fully cold-blooded as if that's the only way to be badass. I thought it's worth noting that Ten still despises Kanki's army for their harsh and cold tactics. She even uses them as an example of what Jin trying to be if he wasn't shaking. These two armies are pretty much the yin-yang. Regardless, it's an encouraging moment that completes the smoothing approach. The atmosphere was filled with doubts and fear, only to turn into hope and inspired. These rookies create the sensation of old familiarity with a new flair. Because of it, it feels new when exploring with these characters. The warm good heart moment brings a nice feel that is always good to relax. I don't know if there are people that read Kingdom just for fights and action, but when diving into character, this has it done well. Another thing that the series does best is to bring bad news. Orson is now missing. I don't know if it has to do with Riboku's plan or Orson decided to go solo. Whatever it is, it's not helping the team at all. It's a worrisome ending that already gives me a bad feeling for the future. It's a pretty nice chapter to relax and enjoy the interaction of these characters, as well as being inspired by their words. It is a reminder on how good these characters are. Sadly, it ends on a not so good news, though it leaves us hanging. I'm just hoping the next scene isn't Olsen's head on a staff. I'm giving this chapter an 8. Really enjoyable chapter, and I guess you could call that calm before storm moment, though I don't want it to think that because that's only asking for the worst. What are your thoughts of this chapter? Did Olsen really went on a solo mission? Because that's pretty reckless for a supreme commander, or at least something that he could have given a heads up. Instead, implemented everyone's fear, and then if it's spread out, it's only going to get worse. Unless he finds a good news, but if he's not gonna find anything, then what the hell? He'll probably come back with all those faces of fear. And that will do it for today's review. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you like this and want more of this, subscribe to my channel, and my world will be yours to stay. Until next time, take care.